For this week's Formation Station, I want to talk to you about Saka in the Middle. It sounds like a sitcom from the early 2000s. How has that been going? We saw it in Wigan Athletic. Hard to draw conclusions due to the weird nature of that mismatch in power between the two teams. But seeing that formation against Wolves and maybe a little bit against Spurs, like what do you think? How's that looking?
I think what it's really looking at, because when I saw it against Spurs today, it wasn't so much that Saka was in the middle, like as a central midfielder, like a replacement for Odegaard. But what it looked to me a little bit more like he was playing more centrally. Also, it looked a lot like Trossard was on the right. So at times, we talk about that triangle on the right side of the field. A lot of times today, it looked like it was Timber, Saka, and Trossard. Which was very interesting. I don't know what to make of that. Yeah. I know there was some post game. There were some comments, from some various Arsenal people about Trossard not having a particularly good game. I think the centrally located Saka is an interesting idea. We spoke positively of it last time. I think we saw some of the benefits. He made a nice run to get the goal early on in the Wolves game, but he also had some moments in that game and today as well where he maybe wasn't quite as clear. I don't know. It represents an interesting evolution, and I'll be curious to see as we go forward, because obviously the biggest game we have currently on the schedule, well, certainly for the Premier League, is the trip to the Etihad to play City in April. But we also, of course, have the Carabao Cup final, and I wonder if you start to see that as something maybe different to change things. We talked about, right? How does Arsenal change things up, right? They're too static. They're too predictable. Well, this is kind of a way to change things up, and I wonder about that. Now, again, I could have just been misreading everything, because we've also talked a little bit how some of these lineup changes feel like they're being driven by player availability. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to read too much into this, but also, as we said, that injury-wise, we're kind of in a good place. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, if it's kind of a temporary solution while Arteta tries to figure out what he's got with him, with Saka, or with his formation, or if this is just, again, it's said, a planned evolution. I'm not sure.
Yeah, or even I wonder just kind of alternate things that we can do just so that the other team doesn't always know. I know this is something we talked about a lot a few years ago, where every match the opponent knew what lineup we were going to play, where they were going to play, how they were going to play. If you've maybe got a couple different ideas, they don't know which one they're necessarily going to face, and it makes it a little bit hard for them to prepare against you, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the idea. That's why you're looking ahead to that City game, because now that's the thing City has to think about in the preparation for that game. Now, it may be fairly obvious how Arsenal plays, but it might also be a case that in the middle of a game, right, because we've talked about it, we talk about the formations, they're not static, and it's not as if Arteta on the sideline suddenly is now do a 3-5-2, now do this. Like, he's not shouting. What they're doing is they take their starting positions and then they start to move during the course of play. And so we may see at that point Saka begins to drift more centrally as the game play is continuing, as opposed to standing there on the kickoff.
Right.